Hey, what's up, good people? It's Jay Ray, the co-host of Q Points, and I wanted to come to you because there are two really important ways that you can support our show. One is by subscribing to it wherever you listen to or watch your podcasts. Q Points is pretty much everywhere. The other thing that you can do is you can visit us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and on Podchaser, and you can leave us a star rating. Please rate us 5 stars because you know you love Q Points. And on Apple Podcasts and on Podchaser, you can actually leave us a written review. It's not required, but it really does help to spread the word about the show, and it helps people to discover it as they're looking for new podcasts to listen to. We're always appreciative of you supporting Q Points. We thank you so much for all that you've done for us so far, and enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, it's Jay Ray. Podcasting is not just a passion for me and DJ Sir Daniel. It's a way for us to educate and inspire. There are a number of podcasts doing that for children, and one of them is What's Poppin' Penny, a podcast created and written by Tony Kennedy and voted 2023's best podcast for children 3 and up and families by Common Sense Media. Penny is a preschooler who discovers that an ancestral poem holds the key to unlocking the magical secrets of a teddy bear passed down from her grandpa, which is filled with her family's history. Tune in to the upcoming 2024 Juneteenth What's Poppin' Penny special. The show will feature guest star Miss Betty Reed Soskin. Miss Betty was a well-known songwriter in the civil rights movement. She became the oldest national park ranger at the age of 85, and among her many honors and awards, President Barack Obama presented her with a presidential commemorative coin at the National Christmas Tree Lighting Ceremony in 2015. Subscribe to What's Poppin' Penny wherever you listen to your podcasts, and be sure to share the show with young people. They will be sure to have a good time. Peace.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of Q Points Podcast. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is Jay Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay the Third. What's happening, y'all?
Q Points Podcast is the dope podcast dropping the needle on Black music history. And this episode, just like the ones before it, are like no other. So strap in and get ready for this. This episode, Jay Ray, I'm super excited about, and literally, I need this episode.
Yes.
Today, of all days, I really need this episode, and I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to need it as well, because you're prepared to be uplifted by what you're about to hear. But before we get into all that, Jay Ray, let's take care of some business and tell the good people about how they can support Q Points.
Listen, thank you all so much for joining us. If you are joining us live wherever you are, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, definitely let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from. We're excited to have all of you here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to that point, you are doing the most important thing. So wherever you are tuning in, go ahead and hit subscribe. Go ahead and hit follow. If it has a notification bell, hit that too, so that you can get notified when there are new episodes of Q Points. If you want to go a step further, and we would appreciate it if you did, visit our website, qpoints.com, and you could sign up for our newsletter, and you can also access Q Points magazine, where we give you additional information that supports stuff that we talk about here on the show. And if you want some dope merch, you can visit our store at store.qpoints.com. You can pick up mugs, shirts, bags, anything that you need to look fresh, fly, and fancy for this summer. And speaking of gear, Sir Daniel, we are wearing shirts from our podcast cousins.
Listen, we twinning on this episode.
Yes.
We are twinning thanks to the They Reminisce Over You podcast, our Canadian cousins. Thank you so much for the gear. We got it. We threw it on immediately. It was like I got picked up the mail and was like, oh, this is what I'm wearing on the show for this episode. So that took care of that. Thank you so much to our friends, the crew over at They Reminisce Over You. You've heard them on our show. You heard them advertise on this show. So if you haven't checked them out yet, I don't know what's up with you.
What you waiting for? Go over there and do it. And if you want this shirt and more, visit their store. Their store is TEETHANG. So that's tthang.com. Their store is called Nothing But a T-Thang, and it's the They Reminisce Over You t-shirt store, merch store. So they have a whole bunch of stuff over there. Y'all should go shopping. And make sure that y'all subscribe to their podcast, please, and let them know Q Point sent you.
I know that's right. So as I was saying, this episode is going to have you feeling uplifted. I'm hoping that your mood is shifted by the time you get to the end of this episode, J. Ray, because we are talking about a song that came out in 1991.
Yeah.
That has had us, I don't want to use the term chokehold because chokehold sounds negative. This song has cradled us.
Yeah.
This song has cradled us for the past 33 years, right?
Yeah.
That's math. Did I do
That's
it
math.
right?
You did it. You did it right.
For the past 33 years, we are talking about none other than the classic Sounds of Blackness tune, Optimistic.
Yeah.
J. Ray, it's 33 years old. It still holds up to this day.
Oh yeah.
Let's just talk about getting to the history of the Sounds of Blackness as a whole, period, about that movement and them as a unit. Let's talk about them first.
Yeah. So the Sounds of Blackness were actually founded in St. Paul, Minnesota. So, Twin Cities, St. Paul, Minneapolis. It was founded, the group was founded in 1969 by a man by the name of Russell Knighton. And he founded it at the Macalester College. I cannot say that word. I've been struggling with that all day getting ready for this show. So at Macalester College, Russell Knighton founded this group, and they were called the Macalester College Black Voices. Now, what's interesting about that is by 1971, Gary Hines took over as the leadership of the Sounds of Blackness. He is still the director of it. We all know Gary Hines because you've seen him in all the videos, right? But he took over and the group was renamed the Sounds of Blackness. So, Sir Daniel, I know that we're going to talk about, Optimistic, which was, of course, included on The Evolution of Gospel album, which is called their debut album, but that's not true. Okay. So the Sounds of Blackness actually recorded some indie albums in the 1970s. And we know this. Recording indie in the 1970s was just not an easy thing to do. Okay. But Brother Hines, along with other folks, had written songs. There's some of them are available on YouTube. We'll include a link in the description for those of you to go back. But Gary Hines was really visionary in the focus of the group as the Sounds of a Blackness, not any other way to say it. He was very clear about what it would be. And in fact, I have a quote. There's a LA Times article from when the album, The Evolution of Gospel, actually came out. And there's a quote from him that says, they had been offered deals, but labels wanted them to change their name to, this is from Jimmy Jam. They had been offered deals, but labels wanted them to change their name to The Sounds of Music or The Sounds of, The Sounds of Music.
That's terrible.
That is
but
awful.
Go ahead.
Or The Sounds of Harmony. Anything but The Sounds of Blackness, right?
I wonder why.
So the Sounds of Blackness were performing around Minneapolis at the time. So here's how the Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis connection happened. Because we've talked about on this show, Black music, it crosses over, right? All the genres like blend into each other.
Mhm.
So the Sounds of Blackness were performing around Minneapolis. And on occasion, Flight Time, which ultimately became The Time, was
Mhm.
one of the groups that would be their backing band. So they were performing around Minneapolis, and it says back in the early 80s when the Time later a famous funk group in Prince's stable was called Flight Time, and they worked local engagements with the Sounds of Blackness. So when Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis started Perspective, the Sounds of Blackness became the first artist out on the label, which is crazy when you think about it, because I don't know that there would have been any indication in 1991 that a gospel act should be like the first thing you spend your time on, right? Because it was such a niche sort of thing. Now, this opened the doors for other things to happen, and we can certainly talk about that.
Uh-huh.
But ultimately, the Sounds of Blackness became the first artist out the gate, followed very soon by Mint Condition, but the first artist out the gate for Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis's Perspective Records. And we ended up with the single Optimistic, which ultimately led into the album, The Evolution of Gospel.
You know what? When I think back to 1991, I'm not surprised at the impact of the song Optimistic. Um, the country as a whole, and then when you delve deeper into the Black community, we've been through some things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We were witnessing a lot of stuff. We witnessed, Rodney King
Mm-hmm.
being beaten on television, and well, not necessarily real time, but we witnessed him being beaten on television. We witnessed the verdict. We witnessed LA on fire. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
countless things that kind of led up to this continued feeling of being disenfranchised in this country. It comes up every so often in cycles. We're feeling it again today. And a song like Optimistic was truly a godsend. And that's why I just feel like certain things are ordained. Certain things are ordained, and Optimistic was ordained from the first note, just from the that whisper that you hear in the beginning of the song. Keep on.
Mm-hmm.
At the very beginning,
Yeah.
it automatically, it's like a signal to us
Yes.
as a community that we see each other, they saw us, and so we started to feel heard. And that, I believe, is why I feel, well, we'll get to that later, but I'm not surprised at the impact that this song had straight out the gate.
Yeah, and I want to pick up there, because that, I think what's also interesting is if we think about the rollout for Optimistic, the video itself was very interesting because it was a long form video.
Mm-hmm.
The way that Optimistic and The Pressure were both introduced was using their intros. So the intro that exists on the album, which is called Chains, intro this, and it's and you saw these Black folks in chains, this choir singing this song, right? And so
Yes.
you get that as you like get into the song. And I'm gonna speak for me personally. I grew up with gospel all around me. My grandfather was a minister. My mom enjoyed gospel music. So whenever I would get into my grandfather's car, I would probably hear like Shirley Caesar or James Cleveland on the
Mm-hmm.
cassette. Kids, he had a cassette player in his Lincoln Town car. And
And I know
we
that was a smooth ride
Baby,
too.
it was a smooth ride. That car was big. That car was about as long as this house, okay? And he would put in and he would be humming along to his whatever he was listening to. And so I, in my young kid mind, saw gospel music as that, right? even when I would spend time in church, I would be moved by the music in church, but it wasn't like something I listened to. So I was never a gospel kid. I didn't have that perspective. However, I could not escape the beauty of Optimistic when I first heard it, because I think it was the first time that I remember liking a gospel song for me.
Right. But yeah, gospel music was at that time was starting this whole. First of all, you had a lot of the gospel musicians um changing up their sound. Like Teddy Riley worked with the Winans. So you
Mm-hmm.
had gospel musicians tapping into that New Jack Swing. John P. Key tapped into
Yeah.
New Jack
Yes.
swing. And then like the Men of Commission, they had a young look. They were fresh and fly. They had the high top fades. So young people were starting to see these changing images of gospel music, and the music had like a true R&B flavor to it,
It was
which I'm sure a lot
jamming.
of them, it was jamming, and I'm sure a lot of them got some flack for it because it wasn't traditional anymore. But do you remember like BB and CC had
Oh, I'll take you there.
uh addicted to love.
Addicted
I
Love.
had to go through
Addicted
the whole
Love
verse.
came
A lot of
out.
people thought that was a love song, a
Addicted
whole love
Love
song.
by BB and C. So they're in the same camp, right? So when the floodgates opened with Optimistic,
Mm-hmm.
you went right where I went next was BB and CC's album came out. Addictive Love was on that album. That was the most, you want to talk about a singing song? You say it's
People thought they were a
taking
couple.
my heart and show me. I was like, oh my
People
God.
thought they were a couple. They were like,
Right.
is this a this is a Quiet Storm kind of song? And I mean, but we say all that to say gospel music was shifting. Definitely has
Yes.
shifted and was catching up to the young people. And so, like you said, the album literally was an evolution of gospel. It had to, like you said, we were talking off air. It was half traditional,
Yep.
but then you got into optimistic, and then you got into some gospel house. They
Yes.
started the gospel house revolution. Well, not started, but got involved with the
Number
gospel house
one.
revolution.
Yeah.
And right then the Sounds of Blackness truly cemented themselves as a different kind of movement. And optimistic, I remember hearing optimistic on morning shows, morning drive shows everywhere, here in Atlanta. And this is the Bible Belt. They love a good gospel song.
Yes.
um Optimistic was sung at I don't know how many graduations,
Right.
and then you have impact and you're part of the culture when the name of your group and the name of the song is a punchline. I'm trying to think. The one punchline that comes to mind for me is Bahamadia.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic like the sounds of blackness, avoids whackness and wet spots on the mattress.
Straight.
You know what I'm saying? So it was in there, and we're talking about what I noticed the most is across the board. Whether you were a church girl
Mhm.
or a b-boy or whatever, everybody knew that song, and it made them feel good.
Man, you want to talk about something that matters. Um, Between the soaring vocals, between just the lyrics, like the lyrics, there is when in the midst of sorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Just that opening, and then by the time we get to the hook, as long as you keep your head to the sky, you can win. My
You
God,
can.
you can win.
Simple, but it's a sentiment that can change your life.
Yeah.
It, depending on the time that you hear it,
Yeah.
can cause you to move differently, to make a different decision, and I'm sure for some people that song was the reason why they could get out of bed
Yeah.
and make it, and we can't take those things lightly. And and I've spoken about this on the show. It's like those types of songs, we don't have as many of them because, like I said, this song came out 33 years ago, but I can't really think of anything else that matches that same energy today. And we need it now more than ever. And you can throw this song on, and
Right.
I'm talking about it's a cross generational song. People are singing along with it, and they're singing from the bottom of their feet, like they
Yes.
mean that.
You know, I think I agree with you. There is nothing we need a song like this today. I want to send some love out, by the way, as we talk about this song, because of course talk about Miss Ann Nesby. So Ann Nesby joined the Sounds of Blackness like in the late '80s, apparently, and she became, the lead singer of the voice we know is Miss Ann Nesby. Shout out to Miss Ann. But there are other voices on this song, and I wanted to bring those voices in because we don't talk about these names. But Carrie Harrington, Corey Cotton, Patricia Lacey, and Jamesia Bennett. I hope I'm saying your name right, Miss Bennett. But this song, once again, testament to Gary Hines. Um, when I went back and I found some of the songs from the first release, 1974, I think is when that was done, I hear some of the same tenets in this. And so Mr. Gary, of course, master lyric writer, writing these lyrics. And he says something really specific in this LA Times article too that I want to bring in. He said, people see 30 or 40 Black people singing together and singing some spiritual oriented music. They right away think gospel, quote unquote. That's limited thinking. We don't think that way. Gospel is just a fraction of what this group does. And I think it's just that whole idea of that's why the song translates, because it's like, yes, we get the spirituality, but we get all of these other things. And I wholeheartedly agree. I have a question now. I wholeheartedly agree that we need more of it. Sir Daniel, why do you think are people able to make songs like this today? Like, do they have the ability, can they even do it based on the way society is laid out, right? Can they even connect in that way? I'm curious.
I'm curious as well because I don't want to speak for people, and I don't know what people's minds. I know that what we have noticed is the pattern that we do see is that the music that is created is to fill a certain quota, is to fulfill a pattern that they is to fulfill programming. It's to serve a specific purpose that is put above everything else. Right now, our culture, our society does not care about healing. Like I was thinking last night, I saw a clip on Twitter, and it was of these girls fighting in Walmart, and I was just thinking to myself, man, is there like a subculture of fighting that I don't know about? And it's a lot of girls, and you can typically when you see them, that's a fighter, that's a brawler right there. They're wearing pajama bottoms, they're wearing bonnets. Shout out to Monique, they're wearing bonnets. They like to scrap. And so that just got me to thinking, like, damn, we're not interested in healing, we're interested in brawling. Then you've got these networks, like, I'm not even going to name them, but you know
I know
what
what
I'm
you
talking
mean.
about. These networks
Absolutely.
that are coming up, including the new one by Brandy's brother, are
What
coming
he
up.
got? Oh, we got to talk about that. I ain't even heard
Yeah,
about
he
this
has a
one.
he has a network, and what is it featuring? It's featuring conflict. It's featuring fighting, people fighting. So, and why? Because that's what people are tuning in for. We're not interested in healing right now. I don't think we're not. And even if it's proposed to us and maybe packaged and given to us, I don't know. Will we accept it? Will we turn our nose up at it? I know what we are ingesting and taking in more of is the fighting, the brawling.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we're interested in healing right now. We're interested in getting the last word. We're interested in getting our lick back. That's what we're interested in. We're interested in in standing on business. That's what we're interested in. I don't think we're interested in healing at all. And so that's why I think it's kind of hard for, or it's difficult for people that might even have a song in their heart that they want to share with the world, to give, to put out some good energy. They're probably scared to share that now because nobody's going to support it.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. I do think, and there are artists out there that are, you know, making music. I think of Cleo Soul out of the UK, who her last like 2 or 3 joints have been really kind of spiritual leaning. I hesitate to say gospel. And I remember listening to the last album, like last 2 albums, because they came out as a duo, like, oh snap, like, is there room like in the
Yeah.
culture for this? Like, we need
And
this.
let's not forget about our friends like Saint Smith and
Saint
Rob
Smith,
Milton.
Rob Milton.
You
Yep.
know, it's not straight up gospel, but those are church kids.
Those,
So you
listen,
know there's
yep.
that energy in the music. So it's there. And, you know, but are we going to support it? Like I said, are we going to, you know, eat? Are we going to eat from the salad bar and the vegan menu, or are we going straight for the buffet? The you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
the buffet,
the fried chicken and
and
all of that.
the fried, exactly. And for that terrible pizza that they make at the buffets, you know it's not good.
It's not good,
but it's never good. But just on a happier note, I guess, just to shift a little bit. So you were talking about Ann Nesby earlier, and Ann Nesby, somebody I heard, is now referred to as the patron saint of Juneteenth, and Juneteenth is coming up.
That's why we here.
That's why we here, and I feel that. Like Ann Nesby, her voice,
yes,
has become the patron saint of Juneteenth, which makes me think of the fact that is optimistic our new Black National Anthem. Is it? For those of you in the chat, I see y'all, Mark, Kyriakos, I see you. Thank you for tuning in as always. And everybody out there on Twitter and on Facebook and YouTube, watching and listening, thank you for joining us live. And if you're out there, just drop us a comment letting us know, is optimistic our new Black National Anthem? Put it in the chat and let us know. What do you think, J. Ray? Is it our new National Black Anthem? Well, not new, but it's our Black National Anthem.
You know what? I accept that. If the Black delegation, if we got together and said, listen, we love Lift Every Voice and Sing. That's a jam. We like that too. Shout out, you know. But if we said, okay, so we gonna take it up a notch, and Optimistic by the Sounds of Blackness is the new Black National Anthem. So when you sing it at the basketball game, and in the midst, right, you do the thing, I would be like, fine, this is fine, right?
It's fine.
I do think that from the perspective of unifying us as Black folks, Optimistic is definitely one of those songs that is a very, very high ranking. So could Optimistic be this is like, it's like Before I Let Go. Before I Let Go and Optimistic, if there's 2 songs that Black folks, we could argue all day, they could both be it. I think these 2 songs together are the songs that unify all of us across generations, across economic backgrounds. Facts. So to answer your question, maybe
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
We do have a reaction in the chat. Kyriakos did, I mean, and he's not 100% wrong here. He just threw it in and said, hey, I thought Back That Ass Up was the national Black anthem. And there are some people that I'm quite certain would argue was down and say, yes, that is the national Black anthem. And I guess that depends on what kind of event you're going for. Like, sure, at at Essence Fest and at the kickback, yes, Back That Ass Up, definitely we're holding hands and raising them in unity before we grab our knees and grab the wall and throw some ass. But if we're at the barbecue and Nana is there and all the aunties and uncles and we just finished saying grace over the food, over the grilled chicken that Uncle Noot just finished and we're about to eat, we're gonna throw on Sounds of Blackness because we're gonna have that Tyler Perry moment and bust the electric slide out.
Yes.
In this family at this time, we are going to go with with the Sounds of Blackness and Optimist.
Yes. Yeah.
On this land. That's what we're going to do.
On this land. And I think that's important. We need this song. We need
it. Shout out to Brandy and Robert Glasper. I almost forgot about their version, and it's very
I like
beautiful.
their cover.
Yeah.
Like, so I just don't know many other songs, in particular from this era. We're talking about 1991. Now, I will say this era birthed ultimately what we ended up getting, like we said, BB and CC. Kirk Franklin was birthed in this era.
For sure.
So there were so many artists. And then, of course, later on, we get Trinity and Mary and all of them folks that came in the 2000s, right?
Trinity 5-7, yes.
Yeah. So it was looking at the success of the Sounds of Blackness and what Optimistic did, and not just Optimistic. All three singles from that record were bops. You had The Pressure. #1 dance record is The Pressure. The people and Miss Ann had us on that dance floor. The pressures of the listen.
Testifying and shouting on the dance floor.
Speaking of the third single, Testify. You know what I'm saying? The three singles from that record. So, and the way the record was split up, as Sir Daniel mentioned earlier, first side, those singles were produced in combination, Mr. Gary as well as Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And then the second side is just straight gospel. So that's like Mr. Gary and the rest of the team doing those songs. And those are traditional gospel songs. So
shout out to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis for like having the sensibility, the musicality and sensibility to know that hip hop was definitely heavily influencing everything, and to know that this really can't really incorporate hip hop, but we're gonna throw Impeach the President under I Believe. Yes. And give you something to bop your head. I believe in the and if you don't know what Impeach the President is, that's that boom. Boom, boom.
You know the sample.
You know it when you hear it. And so that was my favorite. I mean, Optimistic and I Believe are like neck and neck as my favorites from that album.
Listen, and so to that point, I agree. Although The Pressure, I think, am I about to say this out loud? I think The Pressure is my favorite song from that record. And
take
then
the
Optimistic
off yourself and say The Pressure.
And say it. I think The Pressure is my favorite song. I'm a house head. The Pressure, I think, is my favorite song. And then Optimistic is like right there. But I don't want to discount the power of their second record either. Their second record on Perspective, because that also has just a bunch of bops on it. Actually, I think I Believe is on the second album. Yes, I'm pretty sure of that. I Believe is on the second album. But that's what makes it, that's what the beauty of it is. But before we
just go too far though. We have to mention Soul Holidays from the Christmas album.
Listen, that's one of my favorite modern Christmas songs is Soul Holiday by and talk about another wonderful use of a sample.
Mhm.
They used the Big Payback, if I'm not mistaken, in that
I
one.
think so.
Yeah,
I
they
think
used the
so.
Big Payback by James Brown. It's a great use of the sample, but it makes you feel good as well, and it's a holiday classic now. So they are definitely, I don't know. The Sounds of Blackness and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and that Flight Time production was really just a marriage, no pun intended, but marriage made in heaven. And speaking of marriage made in heaven, like living here in Atlanta, what's really popular, J. Ray? Well, I don't mean to say it in like it's a fad or anything, but of course, choir culture is very popular here.
It
I'm
is.
talking about in Atlanta on any given weekend. What the church kids will do is somebody's recording a live album. That's an event.
Yeah.
That's something to go out to. That's something to go to get ready and to sit and witness.
Yeah.
And don't let it be recorded for video because everybody's looking fresh so they can say, I'm in the audience for this live recording. And I think I think we I think it's coming back. Matter of fact, one of my dear friends went recently to a party where this person throws these parties, and it's not a party per se, but it's called choir practice.
Mhm.
I don't know the name. I don't know the person's name, the organizer's name, but it's called choir practice. And literally, what they will do is he will rent out a hotel room,
Mhm.
a
Like a
ballroom,
like a ballroom.
and they will go in there, they'll have the musicians, and they will have choir practice because I think we've all participated, or I'll speak for myself, at some point, J. Ray, we've participated in some form of choir.
Mm.
And choir was one of those things that it was another fraternity, sorority. It was another, a group activity that your parents were going to approve of because why not? It's a church. Your peers were going to be there. Even if you didn't have the best voice, you could still participate in choir and still go on the choir trips.
Mhm.
So what it makes me think of is that, so when I think about Sounds of Blackness, I think about what kinds of magic, what kind of organization did it take to rally all of those people together, to like when they have these major performances, to know exactly how many people are going to be there, because when they show up deep.
Yeah, you have to know how many from each section. You have to plan all the things. Listen, I ain't gonna pretend like I know what goes into it, but one of the things that we talked about in preparation for this show is I recorded a lot of gospel albums in my time, actually in this era. So when I began my work in studio work at the Sound Spa, and it later was called Planet Entertainment, we was right here in Chester, 15 East 8th Street. The building is about to fall down. By the way, my boss, he was the owner of the studio. He recently passed away about a month ago. But we recorded a lot of gospel choirs, and we had a huge studio A, and we would have to set. So my job as the tech would be to be ready for the choir. So I would literally have to have my 3 boom mics to capture each section
Mhm.
set up. And these would be a lot of people, way more people than you think, but it would probably end up being like 40 people in the studio at a time. And so filling the lounge, filling the thing, and then everybody would come in. And it was always interesting just watching the director at the front, because he had his headset on. We had to pump the music through the speakers so that the choir could hear the music itself, and just watching the precision of getting all these people in line to record, to overdub most of them, because to your point, a lot of the albums were recorded live. So there were, and there probably still are,
there were a lot of mobile recording studios at that time. And there were some real well-known ones around here. If you hired this one, you knew that your recording was going to be good. They would go out to the churches and they would record it live, and then it would come into the studio to us, and the producers would come and do all the stuff that they needed to do to make this thing an album. And so I can't even just getting that done. It's like
it sounds like such a feat in and of itself. And you know what else? We got to give credit to the Sounds of Blackness. Sounds of Blackness kind of introduced a lot of people to choir culture.
Mhm.
And when I say choir culture, yes, the live recordings is one aspect. But what you saw, I don't know, it was their own way of entertaining. Like church kids know a choir kid when they see one, just by the antics and like how they were performing their videos and their live performances. It's not just about singing. There's a choir choreography that comes along. It's like, so when you see, if you're going for a higher note, everybody kind of pushes their hands up, and you know, the big clap, and everybody knows what a church clap is, right?
Yes.
If you don't know what a church clap is, it's just a very wide clap, and everybody's clapping on the one and moving from side to side. And I just love that. I think them and like Bobby Jones, and shout out to BET.
Shout out to BET.
You got to shout out, J. Ray, we have to shout out to BET for being one of the very few platforms for Black, and I'm talking Black gospel. I'm not talking about that arena, you know,
praise music,
evangelical Christian white evangelical praise music. We worship you. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about bliggity Black gospel music, where you can either have a quartet up first, and then you can have the Sounds of Blackness, and you can have Mary Mary. You know, so shout out to them for doing those types of things. And just, you know, I remember they used to rock like the African Prince and the Kentes.
Listen, Sounds of Blackness was Black. Like, when y'all go and play, so first of all, go and play the evolution of gospel, because you have this mix to that point, right? You have this mix of old Negro spirituals. The album cover is the continent of Africa with like stuff that Black folks would recognize kind of built into the outline of the continent. Like, these folks work like, listen, no, this is who we are. This is who this music is for. We are here to uplift our people. And that is exactly what they did. And I appreciate that kind of carrying on. And I need people to do more of that. We need that right now.
Matter of fact, when you have the opportunity, pull up their Showtime at the Apollo performance. I mean, even Eva behaved herself. You know who Eva is. Eva is the lady at the Showtime at the Apollo. Eva couldn't be touching on the choir members, so she behaved herself, and she just gave a good old church clap and sang along to the song like everybody else. They rocked the Apollo. They're not gonna boo a gospel group, but they completely rocked the Apollo, and it's definitely their performances are always tight. Like, if people that came out of choir culture are your best performers, they know about the importance of rehearsal. They know about the importance of timing and moving as a unit.
And listening to each other.
Listening to musicians, and the musicians listening to them. Musicians let's talk about church musicians.
Baby, these music, all of our favorites came out of the church. Listen, I have some of the most beautiful musical experiences I've ever had is watching these ad-libs happen with these musicians that are literally, they ain't been in nobody's training. This baby learned everything that they knew by ear, and they are going to wear you out.
And J. Ray is not exaggerating when he says a baby. Like, if next time you go to a church and you look over and see who's behind the drums, it's probably some 12-year-old boy or a 10-year-old girl wearing out the sticks. I mean, killing it and playing the bass. And so shout out to church choir, gospel choir culture. Shout out to the Sounds of Blackness, and we're grateful. I'm grateful for what they've given to us. And again, like a day like today, we really need songs like Optimistic, but we've come to the end of the show. So remind the listeners, how they can support us and how we can keep sending out these positive vibrations and positive messages to keep them uplifted.
Absolutely. So for all of you who are supporting Q Points, who are listening, who are watching, thank y'all. We appreciate you so much. Hit the subscribe button wherever you are tuning in. That is definitely a thing. Also, share the show. If you are into Q Points, chances are people that you love and that love you will also love Q Points. So go ahead and share the show with them. Visit our website at qpoints.com. There you can sign up for a newsletter. You can also access Q Points magazine, and you can listen to shows and do all the things over there too. And if you want to support us further, you can certainly shop our store at store.qpoints.com. We'd really appreciate it.
I'd like to say, take your rest, Keo. We hope that you are at peace. You will be missed from your peoples over at Q Points. And like I always say, in this life, you have a choice. You can either pick up the needle or you can let the record play. This is DJ Sir Daniel.
I'm J Ray, y'all.
This has been Q Points Podcast, dropping the needle on Black music history. We will see you on the next go round. Peace.
Peace.